Okay, namaste. Welcome, everybody. Again, happy to be here given the circumstances of life. And we've been talking about adapting and resilience and our ability to come back to center. And that's been an ongoing inquiry. But as we were practicing it within the asanas and the affirmations, I heard an interesting talk through Self-Realization Fellowship, and the first question was, and I'd like to actually bring that into our contemplation today, our introspection, is: are you letting life circumstances control you? So just take a moment here, closing your eyes. Notice what happens when you ask that question within. Are you letting life's circumstances control you? Breathing into the belly, breathing into the heart. And then, as it would be a really juicy discussion support group question, if we were doing that, and I would love to hear from you. But for many, it might be blurry or fuzzy. For me, when I inquired, what came up, well, it depends on those circumstances. Just like today, those circumstances were controlling if we were going to meet today with the power outage. But obviously we're going deeper than what may be considered a little garden variety circumstances. We're talking about the really, I think we're talking about the really big ones: disease, death of the loved ones, loss, grief, all these things that are very hard that do affect us, and most likely will, for most people, have an effect on our behavior and our well-being. But the invitation is to, through the power of introspection, is to be in our center, right? This is what Yogananda says: eventually we must all be in a ability to control our reaction, versus response versus reaction. He doesn't say that, but controlled by spiritual laws that we come into our center through spiritual laws, through the alignment of whatever your practice is in that dimension. And from that place, we allow ourselves ideally to be guided through our circumstances. For those of you, hi, Robin and Michael, who just got on, there's a little PG&E outage on this side. I don't know if you got it, but so we're starting a little late, but we're inquiring, are we letting life circumstances control you? Are you letting life circumstances control you? And there's variations on this subject matter. It's a little continuing with the adaptability, resilience, themes we've been working with these last couple of weeks. So as we'll get into the breath work and movement, we do want to be in our center and respond as best as we can. And depending on the depth of the circumstances will be our resilience, all right? And there's a deep quote from Gayamata: change not my circumstances, change me. Change not my circumstances, change me. So that's just an offering of one of the many ways to reflect on this principle. So without so much of a dialogue, we'll go into movement and breath work. So I'll back it up a bit. Let's see, I want to make sure everybody that wants to get on is on. Yay. And I thought we'd focus on the light, of course, is always shifting, it's changing. The breath of fire, because that's such a great cleanser and strengthener for our immune system, and twists are very good for detoxing the body. So breath of fire, just remember, we're going to exhale. We're going to do 3 rounds of 10. I'll be counting, and if you want to count at home, you just press into your fingers and thumb. That's helpful. And you're going to exhale through the nose and draw the navel to the spine sharply. Okay, so sitting comfortably. Inhale. And exhale, begin. Breath of fire. Inhale. And you may need a Kleenex. I forgot to say exhale. Inhale. And exhale 10 more rounds. Breath of fire. Inhale. Exhale. Okay, one hand on the belly, one hand on the heart. Full yogic breathing on your next inhale. Allow the belly to expand, the heart to open, opening through the crown, through the elements, the environment. As you exhale, crown, heart, belly, feet. Do several rounds at your own pace, at your own timing. Welcoming yourself here. Notice what's in your heart, in your body. If there is a heartfelt desire that you'd like to bring to the forefront, love your consciousness, allow that to, allow yourself to listen to that, what it is you'd really like to receive, not only in our class, but maybe what you're working on in your life. Calmness, forgiveness, etc. Okay. And of course, we'll continue to consciously breathe, but before we do the mat work, just notice when you wiggle your toes and you kind of scrunch your toes and maybe go like this with your knees. That's firing up the legs, the feet, and the first chakra. Okay, very much any movement in the feet and the legs, safety, security, belonging, all important qualities, swirling of the hips here. We'll start beginning to activate the first chakra, our well-being and safety, security, and belonging. So, of course, hugely important. And if we don't have time for a whole yoga practice, we could just, periodically through the day, do something like that. Wiggle the knees. It's also very grounding us into the thighs. All right, we're going to come to the mat. You're probably already there. And we'll start on our backs. So if you want a blanket or cushion, feel free to do that. We're going to ease on down. If you're not already on the back, we're going to ease on down. Taking it gradual. So should we shake? Low, mid, upper back. Press into the feet. Arms reach up overhead. And exhale, angel wings open. As we draw our knees in and those egg beaters circling around. 3 times in one direction, inner borders of the feet together, and then 3 times in the opposite. So continuing with the core, the low back, the obliques, first and second chakra, and the creativity and allowing ourselves the water element there of flow and fluidity. First chakra is earth element. We're going to extend. We did this several weeks ago. We're going to crisscross. I like to bring the arms out to the side. Crisscross. Exhale through the mouth. With 8 to 10 times. Activating the core, first, second chakra, then open in a V. Wide, but keep the low back plugged in. Okay? Crisscross. Exhaling through the mouth. Rooting the back body toward the earth, especially the low back. Good. And then open into a V. And again, crisscross, earth, water, heart, and opening up into a V. Now, if you can, just ease side to side. You can use your hands, going back and forth, letting the head go along for the ride. Okay, bending the knees, and we'll go ahead and do our activation of keeping activated in the core. What we did last week, reaching our arms up, shoulders plugged in, those opposites, toe taps. So the right foot comes down, the left arm overhead. And opposite. Notice if you'd like to inhale as you reach back and exhale, come forward, or the opposite. Exhale and inhale. Find your breath work. Keep plugging in the core. Such a good one for our brain. Or coming in literally into the center of our body. And change not my circumstances, change me. So that's acceptance, right? And most of us need some time, depending on the circumstances, the severity of the circumstances, the depth of the circumstances, to come to acceptance. And that's perfectly fine. Of course. Okay, one more toe tap. Make sure you done both on each side, and then curl yourself in the ball. Rock and roll. Ironing out the back. We're not coming up quite yet because we're still going to do one more fun core one. So what we'll do is we're going to lift the legs up, and we're going to lift the cheeks up. So you give yourself a and then move to the right. And then lift up and move to the left. Okay, so do this several times. Knees bend down, give yourself a oomph, and then over to the side. 6 to 8 times here. I think it's kind of fun. This is a new one I learned, and I've been practicing it. It's great to release and swirl and swivel side to side, playful. One more round side to side here, going one side and then the other, and then lengthen and grow, and back to that curling again, rounding if this is okay on your spine, rocking and rolling, gaining enough momentum to come up, lifting the heart, and bringing the hands behind you. And with that same theme, this was several weeks ago, we did arms facing forward. We're going to move one cheek back, then the other 4 times, and then and back 4 times, belly work, core work, and arm work. And back again. Make that sound. And vocal breathing, excellent. Hands in by your side, Dandasana, heart lifts, head lifts, bend the knees, rolling onto the balls of the feet. Coming forward. You decide if your body will decide if you want to stay here or drop those knees lower. Walk the hands forward. Really open up the reflex points of the feet. If your neck's okay, bring it back. If not, chin touch. We're not going to be here long. And coming forward. And do one more warm up before we begin our more intensive vinyasa flow. So this will be our cat prayer work. So cat pose. In fact, let's work our wrists a little bit. Let's bring the palms down upward so the fingertips face your knees, and then kind of swirl around a little bit. That'll open the hips and the wrists. Move down to each direction. Yeah. Okay. And then notice when you bring your fingertips to face one another, you can see that. Fingertips facing one another. Swirl around. You might not feel it as much, but still activating. And then getting ready for a classic cat. Okay, fingertips forward. And adding a prayer pose is and go along here. Inhale, scooping out the low, mid, upper back, looking up. Exhale, rounding cat, flatten the tops of the feet down, reach back in prayer. Opening the back of the heart, back of the neck. Inhale, scooping out. And now we're going to do that swirl to the side. So the hips, right hip's going out to the side. We touch down and then around to the left. So do this 2 more times, swirling the hips in the circle. Let me get a sense of that. Swirling, swirling, swirling. And then one more classic cat. So I like to turn my toes under for that. This underneath the shoulders, scooping it out, opening all the chakras, eye gaze up, main chakras, and then neutral spine, hover the knees, full body stretch, downward facing dog, shred it out, keep pressing into the entire hand. The base of the fingers as you invite calm energy to radiate through every cell of your body, every fiber of my being. Calm, aware energy. Yes. And then from here, we're going to walk our hands toward our feet. And our feet toward our hands in Uttanasana. A little bit more dynamic. You can either do the classic resting, cradling the hands in the hollows of the elbows, or if you choose, in that crisscross behind the calves, reaching to the front and relaxing any unnecessary mental burdens. Relax any worries we can't control, even though our mind does do a lot of that for safety and protection, as we know. It's overworking on that level most of the time. So releasing what we can't control, shaking it out gently, and then, depending on your spine, you can either come up with a straight spine or rounded, shaking it out. Into our mountain. Cool. So, that's another part of electricity, huh? Okay. So we're going to root down through the feet, go into our mountain pose, not wider than the hip apart. Okay. Lengthen through the crown, chin parallel. We know these postural alignment principles. All right. To bring our hands to our hearts. Take a moment while we're standing and allowing ourselves, if we'd like, to dedicate our practice to others, bring others onto the mat with us that we'd like to send healing energy to. The general prayer is to awaken not only our higher consciousness, upper chakras, heart, spiritual eye crown, but the dawning of higher consciousness for all beings. We're all spiritual beings returning to our wholeness, to our awareness, whatever path we take to get there. So tapping into the spiritual eye, tapping into the crown, lengthening and growing. I'd like to add a mini back bend to start. Exhale. Don't collapse into the lumbar. And then we swan dive forward. Exhale. Letting go what we can. Inhale, scooping out. Exhale, we're going to step back into a lunge. So if you like that, I took mine out, but I don't know why, but take your blanket. It's really, we're going to do some on the knees here, so it's nice to be padded. I'm going to step that right foot back, come on top of that right knee into our classic lunge, knee down lunge actually. Coming up, this is okay on your knee. You could always modify in Jani Shasana like this. Okay. We're going to try eagle arms with our lunge pose because eagle is so symbolic, remember, of the expansion of the being, of the heart, the freedom within, amidst our circumstances and storms of life that come in. So we're going to bring our right elbow on the bottom. Think of the opposite elbow on the bottom of that knee. Bring, if possible, the tips of the elbows up and then round down. Now, if that's possible, we'll inhale, you stay with that, or maybe you'll swirl around. And there's a lot going on here. It can happen in life. A lot of circumstances to navigate. As we inhale, lift up, opening the heart. And then coming forward, releasing the hands. We come off of that knee. And what we're going to do here is we're going to come into our, we usually do the one arm twist. Let's see if we can challenge ourselves. So you can either start with off the knee, or it's honestly, it's easier to be on the knee to bring your hands to the heart and then twist. So here's that deep twist we're starting out from the right corner of the abdomen over to the left as we look over toward our palms of our hands. And then maybe you want to lift off of that knee. So see if this is possible. If that's too much, go back to the classic with one hand down on the block and the other. Either way, we're getting a deep twist. And we're detoxifying, twisting out not only the physical toxins, but our mental worries and fears and insecurities, etc. So breathing in, breathing out. Amidst life storms, I find my center. Coming back, and then we step it back to plank. We step it back to plank, reaching through the heels. And let's see if we can do our forearm plank. So we come down on one forearm and then the other. Now collapsing the belly of the head. Couple more breaths here. It's more intense. And then let the tops of the thighs touch down. Let the heart open, unfurl the toes. Open those elbows wider. Massaging the third chakra, fire energy, or right use of power. And then the heart energy, dealing with the love and give, or the opposites. Okay. All right. And so from here, let's start with a baby cobra and then take it in stages. Light strong. Inhale, come just halfway up. Inhale, recharging the spine. And then exhale. Now you could stay with that, or you could start to lift up into full cobra. Inhale, either halfway or all the way with the straight arms, pressing through the feet. Lion's breath, sticking out the tongue, eye gaze up. Do that again, opening the throat chakra, our communication. And again, if you choose, And then let the knees touch down, rest back into full extension of prayer pose, knees wider than the hips. Open that in. Bowing to the wisdom of the heart. Just keep returning to the spiritual energy that's animating your physical form. And then we'll keep flowing. We'll do that a little challenging series with the eagle arms lunge here as we scoop out one time. And then exhale round. Really let it go. Inhale, neutral spine, hover, port the chest back toward the thighs, dread it out, or stay stable as you allow that calm energy to radiate through every cell of your body, every fiber of your being. Okay. I get a little swirl there on the hips and decide I'm going to look at the space between the hand and giant step the right foot forward. So it may take several, helping your foot there to get up into your lunge, your knee down lunge, and then have your blanket there as we reach up. Eagle arms in our lunge. So the expansive eagle, the freedom of the eagle, with the left elbow underneath the right. So amidst life's challenges, amidst life circumstances, as we come down, I'm gonna be in my center. Ideally, being in our center as those challenges arise, or as we scroll to the side, no, we can come back to it. So lifting up again. This is great for the shoulders, the heart, and then we're going to unfurl, and then we're going to go right into staying with that knee down first. Bringing the hands to the heart. Deep twist is that the left corner of the abdomen moves over to the right. So the descending colon over intestine over to the right. We start with the right to the left because that's the ascending and the twist to the descending cleanse. Now this is a lot here. See if you want to stay with this and see if you look at a point on the floor and lift that knee. So the challenger series of the deep lunge twist, or if you want to open the hand down and get more of this type of twist. Either way, you're going to benefit in that detox mentally and physically. And allowing yourself to slowly come down. And we'll go ahead and step it back to plank again. This time we'll step the foot out to the side of the mat and then back. And then step the other foot over if possible, and then back. And then chaturanga all the way down. Take a moment before we rise up, feet widen, stack your hand, rest at the spiritual eye, soften the shoulders. Notice how usually the part that's resting on the earth can feel very grounded, and then also spacious, with the back body more spacious. We have both of these qualities of grounding and space simultaneously. This pause coming back, learning to live in the spiritual eye. That is your center. That is your spiritual center. nor your heart, nor the crown. Now we're going to rise up again in our cobra and open up our throat chakra. I do want to say before we go into this, let's just kind of do a locust prep. Let's lift the right leg up and upper body, recharging. I've said it before, I wish I knew who, I wish I wrote down when I read this, exhale, who got the research for this, but I don't know, left leg lifts up. But 75% of communication is miscommunication. Wow, okay, that's not good. But it also, those of you who are therapists or just in life, you know, you can see that play out quite a bit. A big part of that is, you know, we're, of course, coming from our understanding and awareness, and the other person is coming from their understanding and awareness. And we're trying to, maybe we're not trying to tune in as much as we could, but that would be a good thing to tune in more. Exhale, so that each interaction could be a better form of communication versus this miscommunication. So I say all this because of the throat chakra. Things can get so distorted even when we're trying to clearly communicate. So a lot of compassion for that, and maybe many times dialoguing about a certain issue, because if we get so convoluted, so misunderstood. Inhale, rising up. Throat chakra. Exhale, lion's breath. You decide if you want to do it 2 or 3 times. I like to do it 3. Okay, and then we come back. Now this time, as we come back, we round back into our prayer. We tap into our prayer pose. And then we're not staying long. We're coming up in that round cat, scooping out, flowing. Back to our friend, the downward facing dog, lifting up, dreading it out. Just honoring the wisdom of the heart. Sometimes we're listening, sometimes we're trying to communicate more clearly. And let's add our breath of fire here, 10 rounds. Press into the base of the tips of the fingers. Slow it down, detoxing, and bending one knee, then the other. Forward fold, walking your hands back, resting either on the hollows of the elbows or reaching behind, clasping the front of the shins into just a little more active forward fold here. Either way, releasing unnecessary mental burdens. Okay, come up in chair pose. Bend the knees, reach back, sweep up, pulse a little bit, slice through whatever emotions may be challenging for you. Slice it through again. Bringing in its opposite. You have some clarity as we reach up. Come off of the heels and feel the space all around. And swirl around. And use that eternal light of the spiritual eye, light in all the cells of the body. Activate. Sip of lemon water here. Checking in with the inquiry. Are you from this was from the SRF teachings, are you letting life circumstances control you? Breathing in, breathing out. All right, continuing with that eagle Garandasana arms. We're gonna go wider with the legs now. We're gonna go wide and bend the knees in a squat. So when we do a squat, we just want to track those toes or knees over the second toe and have the spine upright to start with as we reach our arms out. It's also known as goddess pose in this position. Bring the right elbow underneath the left. Okay, root down. Lift the tips of the elbows and see if we can bring the elbows toward that right knee, then the left, and then back around again 3 times. Amidst life challenges of circumstances, I'm gonna be in my center. And see what the answer is for you. Mine was it depends on the intensity, but ideally going in there. Oh yeah, first of all, sorry, let's come out and switch. So the right elbow is underneath and the left elbow. But ideally the invitation is to be in our spiritual center no matter what is appearing. Responding, they'll say in psychology, versus reacting. But we also want to be compassionate if we do react, because it's very human to react initially and then find our center and respond. We're works in progress, okay? Opening up, ooh, turning the toes in, and heart chakra radiant as we reach behind us. Squeeze and soak. And then forward fold, forward bend. Hinging at the hips. Knuckles up to the sky on the inhale. Crown of the head toward the earth on the exhale. Pulse it up again. Feel the back of the heart, scapula, and then the wisdom of the crown reaching toward the earth. Now we're going to add a side extension here. We're going to release our hands and slide them down the sides of the legs. And then when we do that, we're going to bring our right upper inner arm by our ear, our left hand above our ankle. See if we can bring this right hand over toward above that left ankle. And we get a deep twist. So our intercostal spaces of the ribs, obliques are opening. As we twist. Should feel pretty good. And then you're just going to elongate and reverse it. So if you need to walk your feet in or feet out, you're going to bring the left arm by the ear. Think of gluing it to the inside of the upper arm. Hand comes above the ankle, the right hand above that left ankle, twisting and breathing. And then staying with that extended pose, if that works for you. He is keeping the upper arm by the ear. Start to see sometimes, okay. Yeah, if it's underneath your chin, it's not going to get the same type of twist. So you need to do this, do that. See, this is where I would go around in the room and really check it out. So you got to do your best here. Coming back, lengthening out. Lengthening and growing. And bringing our hands to our hips and coming up. Try to look at the tip of the nose if that's happening. So bring back. So I hope that would have made sense. You're keeping it here rather than here because you're not going to get that deep twist with your arms here. All right. So for the next time, if that was happening, make sure this was happening. All right, mountain pose. Thumb, index finger together. Notice the effect on your body, and remember, if you want to dedicate your practice to others or one person, bring them on in that with you, sending those prayers of care. For our will of the third chakra, that right use of will, the alignment of our will to our higher centers, the heart, spiritual eye, and the crown. Our thoughts, and we want to activate in that higher alignment with our right use of will, and then offering it to our higher self, higher guidance, God, Goddess, whatever your formation. So you can remember that by TWO. This is from Devi of Ananda. TWO, our thought, our will, and then the offering up. Okay. Help us get in that right alignment. Let's take it into Trikonasana, and then our balance pose of the day. So if you want your block by your side, if you want to use the wall, so that when we go into standing half moon, you have support. Okay. So the first stage will be opening up pretty wide, and the left toes turn out to the side. Opening up the heart and the arms, flowing. And to the joy kosha, which is in the upper chakras. So we open up. I like to bring sometimes that right hand by the right knee to invite this extension of the left side as we reach over, not to collapse it. Reaching over. Engage, engage, engage the thighs, maybe slight bend of the knee. As we stack the shoulders, physical alignment, track the tailbone and the head, add the mudra, thumb, index finger together, and affirming energy and joy. Fill my body cells. If you want to add that shoulder work, extension, energy and joy. Fill my body cells. Joy kosha is already within me. We're just dusting off the stuff that maybe keeps it a little bit covered. And now we're going to reach that hand behind us, bending your left knee. This is where you can be against the wall. I'm going to use the block diagonal to the little toe side of the foot. We're going to step that back foot forward, look in front of the toes, and lift off. Reaching through that right foot. Maybe unraveling this arm. Maybe not. Maybe looking forward a little bit. Energy through that back leg. This is finding our balance. Even if we're wobbling, we're returning to our center. Stay in our center as best as possible amidst the various circumstances. And then bending, taking your hand on your hip, bending your left knee, stepping it back, and coming up again. Okay, it's a strong one. We're going to pulse into our warrior two a couple times, so root down. Back that knee over the second toe. Inhale, fingertips touch above the crown, and joyfully manifest the power of the divine. The power of the divine is here, so we're opening to it. Joyfully open to, or joyfully manifest the power of the divine. And above the crown, connected to the sun, the moon, the stars. And bringing our hands to our heart. And let's just take it in, take a moment. Either swirl it around or then stabilize. Feel the benefits before we go to the other side. Energy from the earth, supporting us. Really feeling that come through the first, second, third chakras. heart, throat, spiritual eye, crown. Okay. This is holding you, your nature, what you feel held by, so important. As we step it open, take it block to the other side, into Trikonasana, triangle, the half moon. We're on one leg. We're balanced, we're gonna do a balance challenge every day. Opening up, so of course the right toes are facing out to the front of the mat there, back foot in 30 degrees, blowing. Ideally, with the changes of circumstance, and expanding the heart, opening to whatever's appearing as we, and it's okay if we're not open to it, sometimes we're not. It takes us a while to get there to acceptance. Tough stuff, it's a tough stuff, it's challenging. Reaching over and extending. And then letting your hand, engaging those sides. I like a slight bend in the knees past 50. There's a lot of holding that can happen there. Slightly bring your hand to slightly touch, or you can use your block. Don't collapse onto that leg, in other words. Adho Mudra, thumb index finger, and open, head to tail connected to the energy and joy kosha, upper chakras. Enjoy, energy and joy, fill my body cells. Joy is alive within me, even though some circumstances we may not feel that right away. Maybe some circumstances, of course, it's appropriate to feel the feels during that. But now we're opening up to the joy kosha. And bringing this arm behind you. Now, I didn't say it. This could be your practice here. Of course, it's not a one-legged balance, but this could be your balance challenge. If this is your edge, wherever your edge is. Or we could take it into that half moon, one-legged standing. We're gonna bend our right knee, take your block diagonal, bend the left knee to step it forward. Look in front of the toes to lift off. Look in the front, or maybe directly downward. Put energy through that back foot. And then you'll know if your arm wants to unravel or not. You'll know if your eye gaze wants to gently come toward the side. Energy and joy. Fill my body cells. Joy kosha is alive within me. And then when it's time to transition, even if we're wobbling, staying focused on what we can center as we bend that back. Well, we keep this front knee bent and we step that back foot down and we rise up without this knee coming forward into our Virabhadrasana 2. Tracking that knee over the second toe. I'm going to get the shoulders and the hips lined up so it's not like that. Okay. Rooting down, open through the palms of the hands, open as you joyfully allow the power of the divine to flow through you. So our individual self, yoga, uniting union with our much higher consciousness, spiritual, God, Goddess, whatever that formation is for you, so joyfully open to the power of the divine. Now let it flow through. Okay, moving down. And let's just kind of swirl this arm around to finish this flow, a strong standing flow, stepping it back, Spreading it out. And we're going to ripple. We're going to ripple like a wave. Swirling. And then if you can jump, some people it's not in your practice or walk, you can just jump or walk. And we're going to come down to the ground again. But first we're going to do our boat pose or V pose. Yeah. And what is that? We're bringing one leg up and then the other. And you may hold on, but we don't want this, okay? We want this. And maybe we'll tap. Within every breath lies infinite power. Exhale through the mouth. Within every breath lies infinite power. So inhaling and exhaling all the time. Breath is coming and going. Thoughts are coming and going. But we can tune in to where that breath is coming from ultimately. The infinite power. Inhale, lengthen up. And back to rounding down again. Shimmy, shaking down. Low back. And back. Upper back. Sweep the arms above the head. Take a moment. And sweep the Baddha Konasana, soles of the feet together, knees apart. One hand on the belly, the other on the heart. Feel the energy animating your form. And the invitation is it's divine energy and animating all forms. But you're tuning into your form, perhaps another. Dedicating the practice to. Okay. So we're going to do eagle on the ground. How about that? It's a great ab core strengthener and with the focus of the eagle Bhavasana today. So slowly gel those thighs in. You can allow a little shaking going on there. Tension, trauma release. Like say they're long, just to transition, but to remind you want to do that practice on your own. And what's going to happen here is your right knee is going to come over your left knee. The foot is going to lift up. If you can reach underneath, go ahead and get that classic wiggle legs. If that's too much, just keep the knee over the one. If you can wrap that bottom foot, that right foot around. Eagle arms, as we've been doing, the opposite elbow, so that would be the left elbow on the bottom of the right. So here we are in Garudasana on our back, and we're going to add core strengthening. So what does that mean? So we're going to inhale and elongate as much as your body allows, and then exhale, crunch. We're going to do 5 of these. Inhale, elongate, exhale, crunch. It's intense, right? Inhale, elongate as much as possible. Exhale, crunch. Amidst life storms, I come back to my center. Inhale, elongate. Exhale, crunch. The theme is amidst like circumstances. Are circumstances controlling me? Or am I at the center of the circumstance? Of the divine center? Unravel. Before we go to the other side, this right knee is on top. We unfurl the legs, deeper twist. Now this may be too deep of a twist. It's more intense with the knee on top of knee. If that's too much, go wider. Okay, with the both feet out to the side. If not, we'll cross the leg on top. We'll lift the hips. We'll swirl them to the right as the knees drop down to the left as we pulse back and forth. And you'll feel that it's like, oh, that's too much. Unravel the knees, stack them, okay? And then we get wide open and we sweep our right arm up and around. Divine life is within me and all around me. Divine life is within me and all around me. And it's hard to see when those circumstances are not the garden variety, are super challenging. Like we said earlier, the health challenges, the loss and grief challenges. But over time, some acceptance, growth, as well, straddling the grief and the loss. And bring your right hand out. We've said this before, but it's important to remember. Grief and loss on one hand, the left hand, gratitude and grace. So since our life, we're straddling those two dimensions. And then as we come back, before we go to the other side, we bring the grief and loss, the gratitude and grace, opening or nourishing the grief and the loss over the heart, and let the knees touch. Breathe in and breathe out. Those may feel like, I know for me, sometimes my healing capacity may not be up for it, but my divine capacity is able to straddle that immense, let's consume like such an immense divine. Okay, we're going to go to eagle on the other side, of course. So bringing your left knee over your right, lifting that right foot off, seeing if you could do the eagle legs, if not, keep it wider. Okay, opposite, so the left knee's on top, the right elbows on the bottom, in eagle arms, eagle legs, Garandasana. Keep your low back plugged in the whole time. Inhale, expand as much as you can, 3 to 5 times. Exhale, lift the head, crunch. Inhale, called eagle abs. Exhale. Inhale. Any variation that works for you, exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Oh, and some interesting inner sounds. One more time. Inhale. And exhale. Okay. Reaching out, the wings stand wide, the heart chakra. Unravel the lower foot. If you can, keep that knee on top of knee. If not, go wider or stack the knees. We're going to lift the hips, swivel over to the left, but drop the knees to the right. Deep twist, deep cleanser, deep detox here. As we press through that right elbow, left shoulder, right elbow, left shoulder, and then fly in a wide open heart. Now, I notice on this side, my knees are coming a little bit farther apart. That's okay. Just let them open up. And then let the left arm sweep above you. Head's going along to the right. Next, releasing as we affirm divine light is within me and all around me. Divine light is within me and all around me. 3 times. And pressing through the elbows, opening the heart, maybe just stack. No, let's come out. Let's unravel here. Bring the knees up but keep the arms open. And lift that leg and come back to our Supta Baddha Konasana, holding the grief and loss, the harder stuff of life, the harder circumstances that I'm sure we've all gone through at different phases in our life. And then the gratitude and grace as well on the left palm of the hand, straddling that whole dimension. We're bringing the right hand on the heart, the left hand with gratitude and grace over the right, and we're breathing in, belly, heart, crown on the inhale, especially the heart. And then sometimes, if you're like me, our human self is hard to integrate the tougher circumstances right away. But our divine self is able, so we can rest in divine awareness. Hear the oceanic sound. And do one more pose of your choice before we go into Shavasana. I'm gonna cue bridge. I'm just thinking like a bridge or a fish pose. But if you're complete, you can of course get set up for Shavasana in any way you'd like. Otherwise, we're drawing our inner knees in. Just to let you know what fish pose is, I'm going through very quickly. This is where we do that upper heart opener and the back bend. And then the classic bridge is the knees are bent, like in the spine. That first pose in. We inhale, we lift the hips up. You rock one shoulder, then the other underneath you. Maybe you interlock, maybe you don't. But ideally, we're bringing our thoughts, our will into that self-offering, but our thoughts can take us away, as we know, from negative thinking and worry, but we can also catch that and bring us back. So that every thought, I'm going to press my palms up, then the elbows, every thought, we bridge back to our true self. Awareness of catching this negative thinking tendencies, and then we want to catch that and reroute it to something higher vibrational frequency. That's what we think is a big part of how we feel. And our behavior in psychology and in spirituality and metaphysics, what we think we manifest. So we want to catch those negative thoughts and bring them into a higher vibration. So a bridge back to higher thought, wholeness, wellness, and see for you what's going to be best in Shavasana today. Is it going to be a shoulder stand supported? Is it going to be the bolster? Brought it out underneath your spine. Okay. Or underneath your knees. Easy. Interesting. So it could be here, like this, or the sun change of the bolster underneath the knees. Either way, get cozy, get warm. Just really letting ourselves rest and digest the movement, the principle of the theme of circumstances. Again, take that inquiry as we're getting settled in. Are you letting life's circumstances control you? All right. Okay. Ready? Ball. Okay. Taking your time to settle. So depending on your position, as we noticed earlier, and we'll notice again, whatever's lying on the ground, you may feel that much more heavy feeling supported. Thank you. Yeah. And then the area that's parts of the body that aren't touching the earth, you may feel lighter. And how we could hold both, that opposites of feeling, heaviness and lightness both. And if it's appropriate, allowing your head to ease from side to side, relaxing your neck. Eventually it will stabilize. Open through the higher chakras, starting from what's called the top down, not the bottom up. So the top down, open to the crown, open to the elements, the sun, the moon, the stars. And the higher consciousness that's animating your form and all forms, whatever that is to you. And then softening any tension in the eyes, allowing the eyes to get heavy and drawing back toward the sockets and then slightly inwardly upward to the spiritual eye. No strain there. Just affirming, I am submerged in eternal light. It permeates every particle of my being. I am living in that light. The divine spirit fills me within and without. I am submerged in eternal light. It permeates every particle of my being. I am living in that light, and the divine spirit fills me within and without. And Yogananda says, just behind the closed eyes shines that light, the radiance of the divine. This one massive light shines over the entire universe. And letting the light in the cells of the body, relax the jaw. Feeling the movement of the breath, that cool air coming in through the nostrils and coolness of the spiritual eye. And the more cooked air coming out of the nostrils. Hearing that oceanic sound, most audible in the throat chakra. Feeling that ease of the shoulders away from the ears. And that pulsation of energy and light moving through the upper arms, hollows of the elbows, lower forearms, pulsation in the palms of the hands and digits of the fingers. The energy in your form. And then moving into the heart chakra, breathing into the floor, the ceiling, the sidewalls of the chest. Allowing that love and forgiveness like a river to flow through you. Breathing in, breathing out. Breathing into the side ribs, the lungs, the low back, the deep belly. Safety and security and belonging, creativity, the right use of will. A thought helping us align with the right use of will, and then offering that in many ways, others to the divine. Letting the hips release, the cheeks, the thighs, you feel life force, circulation, light in the cells, easing the knees, the calves, the ankles, all the way through the soles of the feet, digits of the toes. Relaxed and aware. And then allowing what's called witnessing awareness, the pure awareness, that part of you that's able, that is at peace, that is at ease, is aware of your circumstances. So judging, connecting to that innate aspect of peace, no matter what the circumstances, and letting it guide you. Resting in that wholeness, already whole, already free, already aware. And then if it's time to begin to transition to movement, you're welcome to do so. If not, you're also welcome to stay in Shavasana. Maybe feeling that inner smile or in the joy of well-being. Invitation to change not your circumstances, but change me in response to those circumstances. And for many of us, it's a process. And if you choose to send healing energy to others through the sound, the three-syllable sound of Om, it's coming from the Ah sound, the belly, the Oo sound from the heart, the throat and upper chakras. All the chakras are vibrating with sound, and we're just saying it outwardly, the inner sounds. So visualizing others that are in need of healing, or perhaps the county, the state, the country, the planet. We'll rub our hands together if you like. Return to health and well-being and peace. Breathing in. Ah. So inhale. Ah. Ah. And if you like, bringing your hands into Namaste, bowing to the wisdom of your heart, letting it lead the way in that consciousness, in the higher consciousness. That's where we are one. And I will end the recording here. And those of you, as usual,